Welcome back to Ben's Book Club. Today, we are diving into the book, The Algebra of Happiness. In this explainer, we're unpacking Scott Galloway's incredibly blunt and, frankly, pretty provocative formulas for career, wealth, and meaning. Galloway, is an NYU Stern professor and a serial entrepreneur, and he approaches these massive life questions with the cold, hard math of a business strategist. But he mixes it with the vulnerability of someone who has made plenty of his own mistakes along the way. We're going to specifically focus in on his highly controversial take on passion versus talent. We'll explore whether his equations are the absolute truth or maybe just the product of a very specific set of circumstances. So, let's jump right in. We are starting right out of the gate with Galloway's most jarring premise. It's a direct attack on probably the most culturally accepted piece of career advice out there. Telling young people to follow their passion is, at best, terrible advice. Now, if you've ever felt guilty because your day job isn't your absolute favorite hobby in the whole world, well, Galloway's perspective is going to be incredibly validating for you. We live in a culture that constantly pressures us to monetize our joy. You know the drill, right? If you love baking, open a bakery. If you love painting, sell your art. But Galloway says this is a fundamental miscalculation. In his view, passion isn't the starting line of a successful career. It's actually the finish line.
Section 1. The Passion Myth. Society sells us this very specific fantasy. Take what you love and build your entire livelihood around it. But Galloway's cold calculus flips this dynamic completely on its head. He points out that the people who enthusiastically tell you to follow your passion are almost always individuals who are already incredibly wealthy. It's a luxury belief. For the vast majority of us, passion is usually what you pay to do. It's a hobby, an escape. A career, on the other hand, is what you are paid to do. So instead of chasing this fantasy, Galloway's rule is simple. Find something you are objectively talented at, even if it's completely unglamorous, and dedicate yourself to mastering it.
Section 2. The Algebra of Talent.
To really grasp this, we have to look at Galloway's alternative timeline for career progression. He replaces whimsical dreams with raw data and pure grit. Step 1, identify a core talent, something you just have a natural aptitude for. And hey, this could be as dry as tax law or supply chain logistics. Step 2 is applying relentless, grinding hard work to that specific talent. Step 3 is the payoff. Because you put in those grueling hours, you gain remarkable competence, money, and status in your field. And that leads us to the big breakthrough of Step 4. See, passion isn't what gets you through the door. Passion develops because, well, winning is fun. When you gain wealth, mastery, and the deep respect of your peers, you inherently become passionate about the craft that afforded you that incredible life. Now, Galloway is brutally direct about the sheer amount of sweat equity this equation requires. He argues that demanding a perfect work-life balance early in your career is a massive statistical miscalculation, at least if you're aiming for top-tier success. Back in his own 20s and 30s, he was working 80-hour weeks. He essentially sacrificed his youth to build massive leverage. His math dictates that if you want outsized rewards, you simply cannot have a balanced equation early on. You sprint aggressively at the beginning of the race so you have the freedom and the capital to coast later in life. So the hard question you have to ask yourself is this. Are you willing to completely sacrifice your balance in your 20s to buy total freedom in your 40s? Section 3, Privilege and the Hustle Trap. Okay, here is where we need to apply a critical lens to this highly demanding, rather unglamorous trajectory. Anytime we look at a supposed universal formula for success, we have to examine the variables that went into creating it. We really have to look closely at survivorship bias. Is outworking literally everyone in your 20s a guaranteed path to wealth? Or, if you don't start with the exact right advantages, is it just a fast track to severe burnout? We have to step back and question if this formula is an undeniable law of physics, or if it's highly dependent on exactly where and when you happen to start the race. Let's unpack the hidden variables in Galloway's personal equation. It's worth noting he benefited immensely from an elite university education, and he came of age right in the middle of the massive California tech boom in the 80s and 90s. The math obviously changes significantly when the broader economy shifts. Furthermore, critics point out his framework is distinctly shaped by a specific, high-earning male perspective. We also have to acknowledge the very real downsides of the intense 80-hour-a-week hustle culture he advocates for. It carries massive risks, potentially leading to long-term physical exhaustion and severe relational damage. And to be fair, that's something the author himself openly admits he suffered from during his own rise to the top.
Section 4. The Real Definition of Wealth.
Setting the intense career debate aside for a moment, Galloway's framework shifts radically when he moves from how you earn your money to how you actually measure it. The absolutely crucial insight here is that wealth isn't the massive, flashy number sitting in your bank account. Wealth is actually a mathematical relationship. It's your passive income divided by your burn rate, that burn rate being the lifestyle you're paying to maintain. Think of it like a bucket of water. You can pour millions of dollars into the top, but if your lifestyle has a massive leak at the bottom, that bucket will always be empty. The goal isn't just relentlessly growing the top number, it's ruthlessly managing the denominator. Let's look at the emotional reality of lifestyle creep to put this into perspective. Imagine the person in profile A. They are earning a staggering $1 million a year. From the outside, they look like they've totally won the game, but their burn rate is $1.1 million. They're burdened with enormous mortgages, luxury car leases, and private school tuitions. That person isn't free. They're trapped in golden handcuffs, constantly stressed out just trying to maintain the facade. Now, consider profile B. This person generates $50,000 in passive income, but their lifestyle only costs $40,000. There is no stress there. They completely own their time. Profile B can actually sleep soundly at night. Mathematically and practically, profile B is the one who is truly wealthy.
Section 5. Redefining your equation. We finally arrive at the ultimate synthesis of Galloway's worldview. And this is where the cold, hard math of economics is suddenly replaced by the warm reality of human connection. Stripping away all the financial metrics, the sweat equity, the wealth ratios, we uncover the most vital variable of all. And this aligns perfectly with the famous Harvard Grant study. That's the incredible 80-year-long longitudinal study on human happiness. It found that the absolute greatest predictor of life satisfaction isn't your career peak. It isn't your portfolio size. It is simply the depth and stability of your relationships. Because at the very end of the journey, your bank account simply does not comfort you. So, your career might demand ruthless calculation, but lasting happiness requires profound, unquantifiable kindness. Galloway calls choosing your life partner the ultimate multiplier in your equation. You need someone fundamentally kind, and you absolutely must align on core values: physical intimacy and money habits. Beyond romance, he urges us to take real action against the modern loneliness epidemic. We need to intentionally reconnect with friends and invest heavily in our communities. The true measure of a successful life is beautifully simple, really. It's looking around at the very end and realizing you are surrounded by people who feel completely safe and deeply loved by you. If success demands relentless talent, but happiness requires deep connection, are you currently optimizing for the wrong variables in your life's equation? I leave you with this final thought to calculate on your own time and remind you to subscribe so you don't miss an episode.